Hey, it's Don the Auction Professor here. I thought I would today talk about the difference between listing clothing or books versus antiques and collectibles, which is what we mostly sell. We do sell books whenever we get them if they're over a certain value. We do sell clothing as well too. We do not do currently Amazon FBA. We did it in the past but have no interest in doing it as of now. That is not part of our model. It doesn't appeal to us at this point. We mostly are in collectibles and antiques, and again, we do clothing. Clothing is probably 10%. We probably sell another 10% in records and musical related items such as CDs, maybe anything entertainment in that field that's a recorded image, even all the way down to sheet music and player piano rolls and things like that. But for us, we avoided clothing in depth-wise to turn that into our main business. The Veros are a big issue. The way they're limiting it, as on Amazon, where anything can be sent back for any reason. Clothing, we have seen and realized very quickly on Amazon was hit or miss, and the high returns just didn't make it worth our while. We made so much more profit with hardly any returns ever on the antiques and collectibles. This has been our experience. This has been the experience of everybody else that we know that does similar activities as we do in reselling. The returns are the reason we avoid clothing and why we've moved to a different route. And for us, with the way eBay is now changed and they're more geared towards how Amazon is with the return policy for free and the whole works and all the changes that they're making, and the risk of a Vero and getting kicked off eBay for just something simple, it is easily avoided by not selling those items for us. I know they're great movers, no criticism whatsoever. We just found something that else worked, and we just kept going in this route. And we looked into expanding, as I said, into clothing more than what we are now, but it just wasn't feasible or practical for us to deviate the time, energy, or efforts into a higher risk. Again, that's built into our model here, so our business model doesn't need any of that. Same with the FBA at this point. For what we sell on Amazon, most of what we sell on Amazon are records and collectibles, photos, posters from rock concerts, posters from record stores. And they sell fairly well, honestly. I was really quite surprised. I expected not much in collectibles to sell, but we've sold trade cards. The list of things that we've sold on Amazon and the prices we have received for them are awesome. I was just surprised that it was that way. But for us, the model works good this way. Another thing to think about when you're doing the clothing versus antiques and collectibles. Clothing, a person might just be looking for a pair of jeans or two. They're not looking for a whole collection of items. They're looking for specifics. If all you got is clothing and books, that's what you're going to sell. And you would have to have the same style design as a person would be looking for to actually make a sale on that and to make add-on sales. It's hard to add on a bunch of items when you're just selling clothing and you don't have that person's size or style or taste in stock. But for collectibles, when we sell something, and let's say someone's buying a record by a certain artist, for the most cases, if it's someone even semi-known, I probably have a couple of them, and they might buy 2 or 3. If it's postcards and I've got 10 from the same city, the chances of me making a second sale to the same person on a combined ship, where my costs are down for shipping, and they pay for shipping anyway, but it's still an added bonus to them. They're only paying once. And I routinely sell 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items to the same person weekly, daily. This is just a routine for us. That is built into our model. The minute we realized that we were missing money by not holding on to items till we had a few extra of the same item, we totally changed the model after we found that out. It was a no-brainer after it struck us in the face. Hey, look, this guy's interested. Do we have any more of this? We'll hear that all the time. In the past, I sell a label of something, $20, and he goes, well, do you have any more from this same one? Probably 20-30% of all customers ask me that question in regard to antiques and collectibles. I've never had that question asked in regards to any of the clothing, the coats, the jackets, the shoes, the shirts, anything else I've sold in clothing. Books, same thing. I've never had somebody come back and ask me, do you have any more from the same author? Do you have any more from this series? They'll just buy wherever it's cheap in the same condition. It doesn't matter. There's no branding involved. Branding is part of my model for my business, and that is all included in this. I try to make sure if I have one of something, I try to have a few more of it. In other videos, you'll see where I say I'll set it aside, or we have a 90-day plan. So basically for our 90-day plan, if I get something to buy, I just bought something, a whole lot of whatever it is, it comes in today, we'll figure out where in the next 90 days will that fit in where we can get the benefit of having add-ons to that. So if I buy today a book of postcards from Detroit, for example, I've got 20, 30 postcards, individual postcards from Detroit, that would be a good thing. I could sell that right now. If I get a book in that only has one of Detroit, a couple of from this city, a couple of here, some Christmas, it would be more beneficial to me to pull that book apart, take the postcards and separate them by seasonal and list 20 or 30 Santa Clauses, or to list 20 or 30 Detroit City cards at the same time. If someone's buying a Detroit City postcard, chances are they collect items from Detroit. So if I have more from Detroit, that's going to increase my average sale to this person. Just with the Santa Clauses, there's people's names on eBay that Mr. Santa Claus collector. I'm just throwing names out there. I don't know if these are specifically the names of any individual, but you'll see that they literally tie to what they do, and that's all they do. I've sold die-cut Santa Clauses from Victorian era about this big for $400 or $500. I have some up now that are probably in the $400 or $500 range currently active. That kind of thing sells. The people who buy that, that's all they're into. They buy everything Santa or everything Christmas or everything with mica snow on it or everything that's embossed. That's just what they do. But with clothing, that's not the case. They're just looking for a pair of jeans to wear or 2 pairs of jeans to wear if you're lucky. The returns and the multiple purchases from collectibles make up for any deficit that we could lose from not doing FBA for us, or for doing more on Amazon, or buying more clothes to try and make up more clothes. The amount of items we sell is high, so for us it's the plan works better this way. I'd rather hold on to items to get a longer or a larger return at a longer basis to get that return. It might take me longer to get that return out of it, but I'm going to get twice what most normal people would get because I can afford to do that. A lot of the items that I do sell for higher than a lot of other people on the net. And literally some of the time, well, actually lately with the paper items, a lot of the time, 20-30%, the comps are mine. So I'm comparing apples to apples. I know what it is. Of course, again, as I said in another video, I don't look anymore on items. I just know a huge amount of paper categories from doing them for all this time. That's all we do for 4 years. You're going to learn it. And then we forced ourselves to. We look up everything. We've written notes down. We've tracked everything through projections. And that's another aspect of it. We did projections based on the clothing, and we did projections based on a specific collectible category or records, and we compared them. What's the dangers in it? Are we going to lose more money in here? What about the returns? How many more returns? Am I going to get 30% returns versus 1% return? What's the benefit? If you're going to have to return or pay for returns like you are now with eBay, you might want to think about expanding your business if you're not going to, say, do wholesale, which has legal and other applications that could hurt you and have a risk to you, or say arbitrage, which is also possibly could be something you could be sued for copyright infringement and infringing upon someone else's ads. These are all bona fide things that could happen to you. Mind you, most of the people it doesn't happen to, but it is something that can happen. For us, diversifying was what we do. And we only stick to areas that we know will work. We project them out. I'll do some forecasts or I'll do some estimates based on actual sales, and then I'll figure it out from there, whether it's worth it, whether it's not. A cost-benefit analysis, everybody does that. This is something that every industry does everywhere in the real world, again, outside of eBay. For us, I have done cost-benefit analysis. What's the risks involved in something? Is it better to sell things with a bigger risk, but yet the rewards are higher where you're going to get more money back out of it? Or is it better to sell something that there is little or no risk whatsoever and just sell a lot of them? And for us, it's the latter. We would rather sell items that have little to no risk whatsoever and sell a ton of them. Whether it means we've hired more people to list these up, or we hire out the service, which for us, I don't hire out service. It's either under my control or it's under no one's control. That's, again, back to my branding. I make sure that we cover everything the same. If I hire out an assistant or something, one of the digital assistants or whatever you'd want to call them these days, I wouldn't have full control over it. And everyone that I know who has had them or does have them now has had issues that I have never had. Hiring people, as long as you're doing it all properly, get yourself an accountant. As I said, it's under $100 a month to hire up to 10 employees and pay them twice a month. So, you know, that's not expensive. They handle all the workman's comps, the whole works. For every $10 I pay an employee in salary, it's an extra $1 all it costs me for everything. So $11 an hour is what you're looking at for hiring people. And that's literally about all you need, other than some posters and to follow the law when you're hiring people. But again, I mean, it's our route, our model. What works for me may not work for you. It's going to be a big learning curve going from clothing books to antiques and collectibles. But if you start out small, and eventually in a little bit of time, you're going to learn. We didn't know a lot of this. We didn't know most of this. We learned it as we went. I mean, we've been on for 20 plus years since eBay just started. The very first year they were in business. But for us, we didn't do it full time. It was just almost, well, I guess you would say it was a hobby for a while. And, you know, after we graduated from college with masters, we couldn't find what we were looking for, and this gave us the freedom, the leeway, and this honestly changed our life beyond belief. eBay has honestly changed our life, and I can never say that enough. I could never, you know, go anywhere else with that comment, because that is what happened. I know I hear all the complaints, eBay this, eBay that. I've seen, you know, it from both ends, and I would take how it is now over anything either way, even with the bad situations I've had with eBay. Because wherever you work, you're going to have bad situations. If you're working for somebody else that is not in your control, and you have no say in what's going to happen or what those situations are going to do or how they're going to play out. But that's just another take on it. I really would recommend people swaying away from some of the areas that are dangerous. If clothing and you get a Vero and you're blocked for some length of time, or you're suspended or something, you know, it can hurt you. I've only had one issue ever, and this is a long time ago, where I had a set of pens up that were, I can't even remember the brand at this point, but they were told to be not authentic, and all they told me to do was pull it down before they did something. But this was years ago, and that's exactly what we did. We looked it up, and sure enough, from what we found, it was a unauthentic item, but the material, it was still made out of gold, so we did end up just scrapping it for scrap. So it was a high dollar fake from somewhere, so maybe it was a Tiffany piece or something. I can't remember. It's been years. But that's where we're coming from. We avoid any risks, and our model literally helps us stay away from that, because we'll play it all out on a piece of paper before we ever hit the dirt and actually start doing that area. Clothing, we're very careful. We stick to specific clothing brands and items, mostly jackets, less copied, at least what we buy, leather-wise, the most of them. So you just got to kind of watch out for what you're looking for. But again, decide on the difference for yourself. With the way eBay's steering now with the new spring, summer updates, you might think about moving to a different area. You can make just as much money, if not more, doing antiques and collectibles as you can making clothing. They sell quicker, higher dollar items as well. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment below. Thank you.